हाँ बोलो। मंगलमय मंगल करण वीतराग विज्ञान नमो ताहि जाते भये हरिहंतादि महान करि मंगल करि हो महा ग्रंथ करन को काज जाते मिले समाज सब पावे निज पद राज। मिथ्या देवादिक भजे हो है मिथ्या भाव तज तिन को साचे भजो यह हित हेत उपाव। Acharya Kalp Pandit Pravar Todarmal ji has written this Moksh Marg Prakashak Granth, and we were on to the chapter deals with negation or refutation of false God, false preceptor, and false religion. And under that, we were discussing about the false God or the false deities. Okay. And primarily, we discussed the peripatetic devas. Okay. Vyantar Dev. We had a very long discussion, and there was so many myths have been busted, and many have asked me personally also some questions, and I'm feeling very happy that at least you have a clarity on this front, because it's very difficult to get out of this clutter. So that was settled. Then we'd move on to denial of worshipping Kshetrapal, Padmavati, etc. Those who are Jain, uh, and they believe in Jain gods like this, Kshetrapal and Padmavati, but that they should not also be worshipped because they are just like uh, celestial beings only. Okay. And those three categories of lower celestial beings, out of which one we already discussed, peripatetic devas. Then we have Jyotishi devas, stellar celestial beings. And then we have one Bhavanvasi, dwelling in house. So all these three types of are very lower category. The predominance of a right believer in those is very, very less. Okay. Hardly anyone. So they are not worth worshipping. That is what the final verdict is. So we were discussing, so Bhavanvasi is residential, Vyantar is peripatetic, and Jyotish is stellars. Okay. So these are, so there also the right believers are very, very less. So it's not to be worshipped. So our discussion was on that last week. So we will start from there. Uh, Let me see if I can share. Hmm. Could you see? Amitaji, could you see the textbook
Yes, sir.
on the full
Yes,
screen?
sir. Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So we are on to page number. 245. Okay. Hmm. One minute. The PDF pages are different and the textbook pages are different. This is chapter 7. Okay. So now we have reached chapter 7. Yes. Yes. So characteristics of peripatetic devas that we have covered. Now the next heading of Kshetrapal and Padmavati. So here, denial of worshipping Kshetrapal and Padmavati. So here we are on 158 now. Okay. So
The paragraph is further animals like cows. We ended there in that paragraph.
yeah. From there we are going to start.
Further, we ended at further animals like cows. That was completed, sir.
Hmm. This is complete. Now, animals, this was completed?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we ended there.
Mm, okay. So I think we have not completed this paragraph. Further animals like cows. Okay. So from there only you start. Even if we have completed, we will repeat it once, but I have marked it here. So
Okay.
let's begin from there.
Okay, sir.
You
Uh,
read.
I'll read.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Further, animals like cows, snakes, etc., are clearly found to be inferior to human beings. They are to be disparaged. Their culpable condition is clearly seen, and trees, fire, water, etc., are the immobile, one sensed beings. Those are clearly found inferior than the animals. And weapons, ink pot, etc., are inanimate objects. Those things clearly appear to be destitute of all sorts of power, in no way worshipability can be thought in them. Therefore, worshipping of all these things is a great fallacy. Nothing seems to be achievable. Nothing seems to be achievable directly or indirectly by worshipping all these things. Therefore, it is useless to worship them. Therefore, from all angles, believing and worshipping of all kinds of false deities, gods, and goddesses is forbidden. Behold, the power of false belief in public life is considered censurable and below dignity to bow to persons lower to status than ourselves. Whereas under the influence of delusion, censurability is not felt even in worshipping the pieces of stone. And in public life, people are found serving and attending on only those persons from whom they expect their purpose being fulfilled. But due to fallacies, belief, fallacious belief, how will any purpose, how, how will my purpose be accomplished by worshipping the false deities? Without such thinking, the people worship the false deities. And while adoring the false deities, thousands of impediments occur, but one does not pay attention to them. And if due to the rise of auspicious karmas, the desired objective is fulfilled, then he says and believes that this achievement is the result of adoring false deities. Moreover, if some objective is fulfilled without their adoration, he does not pay any attention to it. But if something undesirable takes place, then he says that this undesirable has happened because of not worshipping the false deities. He does not think even this much, that if benefiting and harming anybody in the hands of these false deities, then those who worship them would achieve the desirable, and those who do not worship will achieve the undesirable. But this does not seem to be happening so. For example, even some of those persons who adores excessively are found to be dying, while in the case of others, sons, etc., are found living without such adoration. Therefore, believing and adoring of Shitals, an imaginary god, Shitalas, an imaginary god, goddess, is not all purposeful. In the same way, believing and adoring of all other kinds of false deities, gods, and goddesses is not at all useful. Here,
Stop,
someone,
stop,
yes,
stop.
sir. Yes, sir.
So you see, first of all, the animals, cows and all, these are not to be worshipped in any case because this does not serve our purpose. But under the influence of delusion, we all get into this kind of things. Okay. So this is best avoided by understanding the scriptures that one substance cannot do anything of the other. So how can these are going to help us? Okay. So they don't help us also and they don't harm us also. But under the influence of delusion and due to fear, people fall into prey of these all kinds of things. You know, recently there was a movie, Oh My God, not recently, maybe 5, 10 years ago. So in this all type of false kinds of gods were depicted, their sole purpose was to cheat the innocent people. Okay. And because everyone wants success, so they don't want to annoy anybody, harm, they don't want to go against any powerful, you can say, force, you know. So they fall prey to it and that's how they thrive, you know. So if you have a good understanding of the scriptures, then we don't fall into this trap. Okay. So uh, so therefore, from all angles, believing and worshipping of all kinds of false deities, gods and goddesses is forbidden. Now comes the important line. Behold the power of false belief. Okay. The glory of false belief. So this glory word has come 5 times. Mahima, you know, Mahima. So previously we had read 2 times, page number 27, then page 130. Okay. So page 27 was Abhagya ki Mahima. Then page 130 was, I think, let me check. Hmm. Moh ki Mahima. Page 130 was Moh ki Mahima. And this one is, third time is this one, Mithyatva ki Mahima. false belief. Okay. So this 5 times used, then further it will come again at page number 370 and page number 407. 370 is Tattva Vichar ki Mahima and 470 is Samyaktva ki Mahima. Okay. So this by saying like this, Todarmalji wants to highlight this, nothing else. Okay. So this is all. So behold the power of false belief. Under the influence of false belief, under the influence of delusion, people do such things. In public life, it is considered and below dignity to bow to a person lower in status than ourselves. Whereas under the influence of delusion, sensitivity is not felt, even you are not criticizing also, even in worshipping the pieces of stone. So you can see the level of delusion goes up and down all the time. Sometimes it's very less. When it is very less, then you indulge in reading scriptures and all kinds of auspicious activity. When it is at a very high level, then you get into this type of traps. So you keep on worshipping the piece of stone also, okay, and believe that something good will happen with this, okay. So, and in public life, people are found serving and attending on only those persons from whom they expect their purpose being fulfilled. But due to fallacious belief, how will my purpose be accomplished by worshipping the false deities? Okay. Without such thinking, the people, ignorant people, worship the false deities, and while adoring the false deities, thousands of impediments occur, hindrances occur, but one does not pay attention to them. And if you do the rise of auspicious karma, the desired objective is fulfilled, then he says and believes that this achievement is the result of adoring false deities. Okay. Similarly, if some objective is fulfilled without adoration, then they don't count it. But something wrong happens, then they feel that, oh, because we didn't pray to that false deities, that's why this has happened. So it's under the influence of fear, it's fear. People are not ready to take challenges. People are not ready to, oppose also false belief and all, because they feel that if something bad happens to us, then so that fear is always there, and because of that, they are not able to depict the realities as it is. Okay, this is called delusion. When you are into delusion, you are not able to take the right decisions. Okay. So this was all about, therefore, believing and adoring of Shitals means Shitla Devi, is not at all purposeful. In the same way, believing and adoring all other kinds of false deities is not at all useful. Now comes the final important question. Here someone may say, let it not be useful, but by believing and adoring them, no harm is caused. Now these three lines are very important. I would say the whole chapters, these three lines are the most important. And so you can apply into all the three: false deities, false scriptures, and false preceptor. Okay. If there be no harm, then why should we forbid? Totemoji says that if there be no harm, why would we forbid? Why would say don't get into it? There is a harm. What is this harm? First, but firstly, due to fostering of false belief, the right path of liberation becomes remote and inaccessible. So you are moving away from right belief. Okay. So this is the major loss. This is a big harm. And secondly, owing to the bondage of inauspicious karmas, pap, miseries are caused in future. This is another harm. So these two are the only reason why we should not indulge in any kind of this type of activities. First, your right belief becomes very remote. Okay. And the second harm is you are binding inauspicious karma. So when the fruition of it that will come will definitely be uh, will definitely be, you know suffering and those against those miseries. Now, these three lines are very important. You can highlight it and read it again and again. This will develop in you a strength to get out of these traps if any of you are into that. I got a lot of questions last week also. So I presume people don't have very much clarity about this. So it is best that you analyze a bit and then take your call. But again, as the same time last week also I mentioned that you should not develop a feeling of aversion towards them. Okay. That is the bottom line. Okay. Now we move ahead of this. Further, someone asked that from there, Roshni, you read.
Yes, sir. Further, someone asked that the false belief, etc., dispositions are caused by belief in false tattvas, and the bondage of inauspicious karmas takes place by indulging in evil deeds or vicious acts. Therefore, how would false belief and then the bondage of inauspicious karmas be caused by believing in them? Answer. Firstly, it is a fallacy to believe other objects to be agreeable and non agreeable, because no substance is friend or foe of anybody, and whatever agreeable, non agreeable substances are found associated with this jeev are caused by the rise of auspicious, inauspicious karma, punya and pap, respectively. Therefore, one should act in a manner by which the bondage of auspicious karmas occur and the bondage of inauspicious karmas do not occur. One may not have conviction even of the rise of one's own karmas, and may make effort of getting and avoiding the association of external causes of agreeable and disagreeable objects. But by believing and adoring the false deities, the instinct of considering objects agreeable, non agreeable is not removed. It rather gets intensified. Due to that, even the bondage of punya is not caused, and instead bondage of pap takes place. Moreover, false deities are not seen giving or snatching from someone the wealth, etc. Therefore, they are not even the external causes. Why then are they adored? When one is extremely puzzled and is in utter confusion, where even a trace of belief and knowledge about Jeev, etc., essential tattvas is not found, and attachment aversion feelings exist in a vehement state, then those things which are not the cause are believed to be the causes of agreeable and non-agreeable conditions. Then, in such state of mind, one starts believing and adoring the false deities. Thus, under such intense false belief, the path of liberation becomes extremely difficult to attain.
Stop. So you see three major reasons why we should not fall into this. And when does a soul get into this trap? So three conditions are mentioned. Why are they adored? First one, when one is extremely puzzled, okay, confused, in doubt, and is in utter confusion, where even a trace of belief and knowledge about soul, etc. So all the fundamental elements, okay. So first reason is when one is puzzled or confused or in doubt. The second one is a fallout of that only, that uh, even a trace of belief and knowledge about seven fundamentals, okay, is not there. Okay. So belief and knowledge, Gyan and Shraddha, both are not there about the seven fundamentals. Then only you get into this kind of things. Okay, is not found. And the third, attachment aversion feeling exists in vehement state. Vehement means intense, okay, intense state. Then those things which are not the cause are believed to be the cause of agreeable and non-agreeable conditions. Okay. Then in such state of mind, one start believing and adoring the false deities. Thus, under such intense false belief, the path of liberation becomes extremely difficult to attain. One more thing I would like to highlight, it is the first part, that in this universe, no objects are desirable or undesirable. Okay. Because of our false belief, we believe that some objects are desirable or agreeable, and so we develop a feeling of attachment to that. And the other part is we believe some objects to be undesirable, non-agreeable, and then we develop a feeling of aversion to them. So in both the cases, we are either manifesting attachments or aversion under the influence of delusion. When the delusion goes away, then you believe as the objects are. No object in this universe is desirable for me or undesirable for me. Okay. Only desirable thing in this universe for me is my own soul, that I am myself. Connecting to my own self is the solution to all kinds of the anxieties, toxic emotions, whatever problems we have. Only one solution is there. We have to take shelter in our soul and experience our soul. Then all kinds of our worries, problems, miseries, everything will go away and we will experience eternal bliss. Okay. In short, this is the path of liberation. Okay. So, no object in this universe is desirable or undesirable, but under the influence of delusion, we believe some to be desirable, some to be undesirable, and so the bondage of karma goes on. Okay. Now we move on to the next topic, that is false perceptor. Okay. So false deities is ending here only. And now characteristics of false preceptors and denial of faith in them. Okay. So this is what we are going to see now. Who else have joined? Okay, Rekha, you read. Could you see on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So from negation of preceptorship,
Characteristics of false
preceptor. Characteristics of all preceptor and denial of faith in them. Those jivas who are found indulging in irreligious activities of satisfying sensual pleasures and believe themselves to be religious persons under the influence of pride, passion, induce others to suffer salutation, etc. To them by believing them religious persons or by practicing some part of religious ritual wish to be called highly religious persons, force others to observe all the manners befitting to, to a big religious person. In this way, under the shelter of religion, they persuade others to believe them as superior persons. All such persons are to be known as false preceptors, because in religious tradition, after a relinquishment of sensual pleasures and passions, one should adopt such status which is in conformity with the actual stage of religion.
Stop. So three reasons. Okay. Those jivas who are found in indulging in irregular activities. What are the three main characteristics of a false preceptor? The first one is they are indulging in irregular activities of satisfying sensual pleasures and believe themselves to be religious person. This is the first characteristics. They are indulging in sensual pleasures. Okay. So the real religion is the renunciation of sensual pleasures, and here they are indulging in sensual pleasures. So this is the first. Second is they believe themselves to be religious persons, whereas in reality they are in irreligious person. Okay. And the third one is induce others. Okay. So they themselves to be religious ones are under the influence of pride, passion. And third is induce others to offer salutation, etc. to them by believing them religious persons. Okay. So this is the modus operandi. Okay. They will have some false followers with them who would praise them. Baba, you had told me this and I have done this and this has been done. So other people who are coming over there, they feel, oh, he is really influential person. He solved his problem, and those problems are um, uh, of that type which otherwise would not have been solved. So people get very much influenced by this kind of chamatkar, chamatkar ko namaskar. So they have false, their own persons, they are employed persons, and they have to act like this. Okay, Baba, you have done this, I've been benefited by this, by this, by this. So this is the way they operate, and they try to cheat people in this way. So again, oh my God movie I referred. So you could see all these practices over there in that film. They have depicted how they operate in this manner. So the first one is they are indulging in sensual pleasures. Directly, indirectly, you may not know, but they are into it. Recent cases of Ram Rahim, Baba Ram Rahim and Baba Asharam, they both are in jail. Okay. So they have charges of rape and adultery and all illegal things. So this is the first characteristics. They themselves believe to be religious persons, but they are not. And the third is induce others. Okay. So this is their modus operandi. They want only money from you. So uh, by depicting so many false facts, they try to influence you. And once you fall prey to it, and that's their motto. Okay. Uh, okay. All such persons are known to be as false preceptors, because in religion, in religious tradition, after relinquishment of sensual pleasures, after renunciation of sensual pleasures and passions, one should adopt such status which is in conformity with the actual stage of religion. So which is in conformity means they want to state that if you are in fourth stage, you behave like a fourth stage. Don't behave like a seventh stage ascetic. Then if you are in the fifth stage, you behave like the fifth stage. Okay. So it should be in that manner, but uh, under the guise of cheating others people, they 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 themselves uh, adapt all these means to cheat people. Now, there are 5 points in this. Negation of preceptorship from caste or family point of view. Okay. There are 5 points in this. So starting, this is the first point. There are many people. So there are different groups of people who behave in different way, and their belief is also different. But all the 5 categories of people are false believer, ignorant people. Okay. They fall into this kind of trap. And we have a very clear cut instructions about the nature of things as they are. Okay. So we don't fall into this kind of trap. If you are seriously reading Jinwani, then you are aware of all these facts and you never get into it. But those who want instant success, they don't want to work hard. What is truth? For asserting the truth, you have to analyze. And analyze is a very big time consuming also, and it requires a little bit of open mindedness also to analyze. But people are ready to believe, uh, there is a herd mentality. Okay. If somebody follows something, then all the others also go on following it without even asserting whether they are doing the right thing or not. Under the influence of delusion, you don't have the power to analyze, you don't have the power to judge. You just get mesmerized by their characters, and they have a very uh, structured setup, you can say, to deceive people. They are doing in and day out. They play all the psychological games also, and they will also indulge in uh, intimating people. And people out of fear generally don't fall into any challenges. They don't challenge also. They believe that, oh, it's okay. So like that, they go on extending their hold over you, and a time comes when you become fully dependent on them. So we will be discussing this kind of people into 5 categories. This is the first one. Okay. Amita ji, continue. Unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Ah, okay, no problem.
Negation of perceptorship from caste or family point of view. There are many people who believe themselves to be perceptors by inheritance, caste, and tradition. Among them are Brahmanas, etc., who maintain that because our caste is high, so we are perceptors of all. But the greatness of caste lies in practicing religion, virtuous conduct in life. If someone born in high caste indulges in disgraceful conduct, then how can he be treated high? If birth in high caste be the criteria of high status, then even people eating meat, etc., would have to be treated as high. But this is not maintainable. In the book Bharata, also many kinds of Brahmanas are described. Therein it is said, the one born in Brahmana caste, if performs the acts of a Chandal, sinful person, call him a Chandal Brahman. If greatness is decided by caste only, then why is such low name given herein? Further, in Vaishnavas scripture, it is stated that Ved, Vyasa, etc., are born from fish, etc. How did how did there remain the sequence of caste or family and original creation? They say is from the Brahma, hence everybody's caste is one. Where lies the caste difference? Moreover, the progeny is seen taking place on copulation to a woman of high caste with the man of low caste and a woman of low caste with a man of high caste. How did there remain the authenticity of caste or family? Perhaps you might say, if it is so, then why do you believe in the divisions of high and low castes? Answer. In the worldly affairs, contrary practices too are possible, but in religious affairs, contrary practices are not acceptable. Hence, in religious tradition, greatness or preceptorship is not possible on the basis of caste. Preceptorship or greatness is attained only by following religious conduct. The greatness of the caste of Brahmanas, etc., is due to religious practice, virtuous conduct. How would greatness or preceptorship remain there by giving up virtuous conduct and indulging in sinful acts like injury, etc.? Further, some people say that our ancestors have been great devotees, siddhas, the possessors of extraordinary talents, and highly religious, and since we are born in their progeny, therefore we are the preceptors. But the elders of those ancestors of forefathers were not spiritually so great. Therefore, if in their lineage people are believed to be great by their noble deeds, then in the lineage of those noble persons, he who does not perform noble deeds, how should be treated as a noble person? As per scriptures and in the actual life, it is well known that the father may attain high status by doing pious deeds, whereas the son gets low status by indulging in impious acts. The father may achieve low status due to impious acts, but the son attains high status by pious deeds. It is therefore not correct to believe someone great only because of being born in the lineage of noble persons. Thus, it should be known that it is a fallacy to believe someone to be a preceptor because he belongs to a high caste.
Stop. So this is
Mhm.
the end of first point. The first group of people, they believe that who are born in a high caste are high level of people, and those who are born in a, but it is not so. It is by your action, what you do makes you a person of high category or a low category. Okay. So action speaks itself. That is the principle that we follow. So some people may believe because you are born in a Brahman, so you are a great. It is not so. Okay. What you do, accordingly, people, accordingly, you will be proclaimed a great person or a lower category of person. Okay. So the last line, it is therefore not correct to believe someone great only because of being born in the lineage of noble persons. Only birth will not happen. What you do, that is more important. Okay. Even in the case of Gotra Karma, Uch Gotra and Nij Gotra, high status and no status. Okay. There also this thing is mentioned that a person is not high or low status by virtue of its birth. It is the action that it does. So even if you are born in a very high status family, but if you are indulging in wrongful activity which is of very low category, then we could say that you are under the, now there is a rise of low status karma going on under you. That's why you are indulging in this kind of action. Okay. So by birth, you are not a great or a lower category person. By your action, that is what matters. This was the first group of people. Now, the second group of people, what they believe, that is coming up. Further, some people say that, no, not from there, here. Further, some people believe preceptors, no, preceptorship to be a matter of succession. So that is also a false category. There is no succession. It is sheer by your talent, by your ability that you acquire a post of, say, just like a guru. So it is not because of succession, but your own ability. Okay. Ability to solve people's problem, ability to give them the right advice, ability to help them to move ahead in the path of liberation. That is what a true monk does. And they are the real true gurus. Okay. But because of the deteriorating time that we are in, there is a plethora of false gurus everywhere and people do fall into trap. Okay. So the second category of people who believe in succession, that's coming up for discussion. So Roshni ji, you read again. This is the second point.
Yes, sir. Sir, it's from and many people earlier, right?
No, further some people believe.
Oh, yes, yes.
On the
Further,
screen.
yes. Further, some people believe preceptorship to be a matter of succession. Earlier, there might have been some great person, and in his succession, a tradition of disciples is found. In some, in them, if some disciple does not possess the qualities of a noble person, even then he is treated as a preceptor. If this be logical, then in that tradition, some disciple might indulge in the great sinful act of sexual copulation with another's wife, etc. Then he will also become the pious person and will attain the heavenly life. But this is not possible. Moreover, if he is a sinner, then how can he be treated the rightful occupier of the seat? The one who performs the acts worthy of a preceptorship only can be a preceptor or a guru. And many people earlier were the abdicators of the woman, etc. Later on, they became debauched and householders by getting married. Their successors believed themselves to be preceptors. But after debauchery, how is preceptorship possible? So those too are similar to other householders. The only specialty in them is that they became householders after debauchery. How can these be accepted as preceptor by the persons who basically are found following the householder's religion? Further, many people are found indulging in all kinds of sinful acts, but do not marry, and because of this so called pious practice, believe themselves to be preceptor. But the unchastity alone is not a sin. Injury, hinsa, attachment and hoarding, parigraha, etc. are also sins. How people indulging in such acts could be treated as religious preceptors? Moreover, he has not given up marriage, etc., with religious instincts, but he does not marry either for getting some means of livelihood or due to ignominy. Had he any religious instincts, then why would he indulge in increasingly injurious acts? And one who does not have religious attitude cannot be firm in chastity. And if he does not marry, then he indulges in the great sin of sexual copulation with others' wife. Hence, people who believe persons found involved in the aforesaid acts as preceptors are highly misguided and intellectually bankrupt. And many people consider such persons as preceptors who put on a particular attire. But by assuming a particular dress, what type of religion is evolved due to which he should be considered a religious preceptor? Someone wears cap, some keeps gudari, patched quilt, some others put on a chola, a few keep their body covered by long cloth sheet, some wear red clothes, some white clothes, some wear pagwa saffron colored cloth. A few put on Hessian clothes, some others put on deerskin, while others rub their body with ash. In this way, different disguises are adopted by them. But if cold, heat, etc., could not be endured and lacked confidence in remaining nude, then why did he forsake the commonly worn clothes such as pagri, jam, etc.? Leaving the common attire, why did they indulge in aforesaid disguises? And what aspect of religion is accomplished? All these disguises are assumed merely to cheat the householders. If they keep their robe like that of a common householder, how could then the householders be cheated? Their objective is to earn livelihood, acquire wealth, and fulfill pride, passion, etc. by adopting such disguises. That is why they put on such disguises. The ignorant people get cheated by seeing such persons in different disguises and believe that he has followed religion. But this is a fallacy. The same is stated in Updesh
Stop,
Siddhant
stop. So
Ratnamala.
we discussed 5 categories of people. Okay. Coming back. So the first one we already discussed. So Roshni started with the second one. Further, some people believe preceptorship. Okay. So this one was done. So from here she started. Further, some people believe preceptorship to be a matter of succession. Okay. So first one was about succession. So that is also not true, because in succession, somebody has been selected, but he is not eligible. He is indulging in sinful activities. So how can he be a preceptor? He is acting in sexual copulation with others' wife. So these are people, how can they be a preceptor? Okay. So this is the second category that some people do believe, but they are in reality no. Okay. The last line you can see, the one, yeah, this one. The one who performs the acts worthy of a preceptorship only can be a preceptor. Okay. So this is the end of second point. Now third point. Some people believe those who are, who have renounced woman. Okay. But later on they become debauched. Debauched means they become corrupt, and they become debauched, and again they get married also. Okay. So initially they renounced woman, and then later on they become debauched, and they may also married and become a householder. So how could their successor be a preceptor? They don't have the qualities of a preceptor. Okay. So just by succession, nobody can be considered a preceptor in that lineage. Okay. So they are basically only following a householder's religion. So they are not the true preceptors. Then the next fourth point. Fourth one, yeah. Further, many people are found indulging in all kinds of sinful acts, but do not marry. Okay. But do not marry, and because of this so-called pious practice, believe themselves to be preceptor. Okay. So they just don't marry. Okay. they consider themselves to be a brahmachari, but they are indulging in sinful activities. Okay. So how can they be called a preceptor? Okay. But the unchastity alone is not a sin. There are other sins like injury, attachment, possessions like parigraha. These are also sins. Okay. So how people indulging in such acts could be treated as religious preceptors? Okay. No, again, no. So he has given up marriage, but again he is indulging in infidelity, okay, extramarital affairs, and all these kind of wrong things. So they cannot be they cannot be considered as a true preceptors. Okay. Now the fifth and the last category, many people consider, sorry, and many people consider such persons as preceptor who put on a particular attire, dress up, different types of. So this gown, somebody wears orange dresses, somebody red, somebody white, different kinds of dress. Somebody puts up some pagdi, all these kinds of different attires uh, they wear, but none of them are preceptor. But since they want to cheat the common people, so they uh, wear this kind of dresses to look something special, something special. So see here the logic is given. Leaving the common attire, why did they indulge in aforesaid disguises, and what aspect of religion is accomplished? This is the question. All these disguises are assumed merely to cheat the householders. You see, the purpose is to cheat. If they keep their robe like that of a common householder, how could then the householders be cheated? Okay. So they have to look something extraordinary. So that's why they indulge in wearing this kind of dresses. Their objective is to earn livelihood. See, the objective is to earn livelihood, acquire wealth, and fulfill pride, passions, etc. by adopting such disguises. That is why they put on such disguises. The ignorant people get cheated by seeing such persons in different disguises and believe that he has followed religion, but this is a fallacy. So now many of the testimonials will come from different scriptures. Okay. Um, so some 5-6 will come later on. Now this is one of them. Updesh Siddhant Ratnamala. Okay. So this particular 2 lines, it's verse number 5th from that scripture. Updesh Siddhant Ratnamala. Jeh Kuvi Veseto. So the meaning is given there. So we will straightway read the meaning. So this, as some fellow fond of strumpet. What is a strumpet? Some of the words used here are very old, which are now not in practice. So you may not be knowing the meaning. So strumpet are prostitutes. Okay. The call girls and all. In modern times we call it call girl. Okay. But they are all prostitutes only. As some fellow fond of strumpet feels pleasure even on losing his money, because he is indulging in sensual pleasures with her. So he doesn't mind losing money. Okay. Similarly, some others being cheated by false sanctimony. Sanctimony is again an attire, dress, uh, disguise. Okay. By false sanctimony, do not realize that their religious wealth is being destroyed. Okay. The gist is, by attending on and adoring such false disguised persons, one's religious wealth get destroyed. Okay. So this one was given an example. Strumpet was an example, but the real principle that they want to say that some persons being cheated by false sanctimony, okay, some disguise, do not realize that their religious wealth is being destroyed. So religious wealth is very important. Religious wealth depends on your conviction, your belief, okay. So uh, our belief is very important in life. If belief is gone, then nothing is left in life, okay. So we have to be very prudent in taking decisions, what to believe, where to believe, how to believe, okay, without analyzing. Just being following the herd mentality won't help, okay. So in many scriptures, these have been already highlighted in different manners. This is one of the example that we are looking at. So Madhuji, you read, as some fellow fond of strumpet.
Yes, sir. As some fellow fond of strumpet feels pleasure even on losing his money, similarly, some persons being cheated by false sanctimony do not realize that their religious wealth is being destroyed. The gist is, by attending on and adoring such false disguised persons, one's religious wealth gets destroyed. 1 minute, sir. Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. Uh, 1 minute. By destroyed. The gist is, by attending on and adoring such false disguised persons, one's religious wealth gets destroyed. But alas, the people instead of feeling distressed feel happy owing to false belief. Some people assume that disguises which are described in false scriptures, but with the perverse intention of establishing their tradition and increasing the number of their followers, the sinful writers of those scriptures have preached in them simple rituals for obtaining higher spiritual status. The thoughtless jivas, ignorant of their tradition, do not even ponder over the fact that there is some deception because they preach obtaining high spiritual status through simple rituals, rather move or follow thoughtlessly in the path shown by them. Further, they believe that the tough path suggested in some other shastras, that is scriptures, will be difficult to follow, and people cannot be convinced without keeping high names. With the intention, they keep high names like Yati, Muni, Acharya, Upadhyaya, Sadhu, Bhattaraka, Sannyasi, Yogi, Tapasvi, Nagna, etc., but are not able to follow the rituals prescribed for these various spiritual ranks. Therefore, they assume different disguise according to their free will, and many of them keep new names, aliases, and adopt various disguises according to their own will. In this way, they believe preceptorship by assuming different disguises. So, this is false. One may ask here, various types of disguises, veshas, are found. How would one be able to distinguish as to which is right and which is wrong? Answer: only those outward appearances in which there is not the slightest trace of attachment and passions are the true ascetic garbs. Those true ascetic garbs are of three types. Rest all are false sanctimonies. The same is described by the Kunda Acharya in Shat Pahuda, meaning one ascetic garb is that of possessionless naked monk Nirgranthar Digambar Muni, similar to that of Jina, omniscient conqueror. The second one is that of householder of the highest status of Shravaka, that is, a votary belonging to the order of 10th and 11th Pratima or vow. And the third one is that of a Jaina nun, Arika, as per Digambar scriptures. Thus, Jaina nun, these three ascetic garbs only are to be revered, and no further ascetic garb is associated with right belief. The gist of the above verse is that the one who believes adorable any other posture excepting these three postures or garbs is not a true but a false believer. Moreover, among these disguises, Many of the disguisers observe some religious rituals for the sake of inducing people to adopt their postures. As, for example, someone desirous of making current a counterfeit rupee coin also mixes some silver in it. Similarly, these disguisers proclaim themselves to be possessing high status by practicing part of religious rituals. Here, someone says, some people, some appropriate fruit will be reaped by whatever religions one has followed. Answer: as someone having accepted the vow of upvas, observing complete fast, eats even a particle of food, then he is a sinner. And if by taking the vow of ekachana, taking pure meal only once in a day, takes some quantity of food, even then he is a religious person. Similarly, if someone by assuming high spiritual status violates it even slightly, he is a greater sinner, and if by accepting the vow of lower spiritual status practices even some part of religion, then he is a religious person. Hence, one should practice religion according to one's capacity. No fault lies in this, but if someone proclaiming oneself to be possessing high spiritual status indulges in mean practice, then he is assuredly a great sinner. The same is described in Shat Pahuda by Sri
Stop.
Kund Acharya. Yes.
So, Kunkunachara Shat Paud will discuss later on. First, we are discussing this. So, from where Madhuji started, okay, from there, it was still 5A continuing. So, fifth point, the fifth categories of people have 2 points, A and B. So, the first one that we discussed was 5A, and then 5B starts from the next paragraph. Further, they believe that the tough path, okay. So, this is the 5B. Further, they believe that the tough path. So, the first one was 5A that we already have discussed, okay, that they consider preceptor on based on the attire, okay, and
Sir, I missed that fifth A. Where does it start?
it starts
What?
from here. And many people consider such a
Okay.
person as
Okay,
preceptor
sir.
who put on a particular attire.
Yes, sir.
So it was
Okay.
all about
Okay.
the dressings, okay.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
So that was still continuing, and uh, yeah, so the fifth B starts from here. Further, they believe that the tough path. Okay. So what these people do now, they put on attires and showed the followers some simple techniques because um, they feel that simple will be easy to follow, and if I tell them the difficult path, then it will be difficult for them to follow. So they made the easy. So religion was made easy, that you indulge in sensual pleasure at the same time you are doing religion. So that gets very fast popular. You know, Rajnees and many others in the past also have been practicing this because it's very easy to attract people on the easy path, you know. So that's what they did. The second category of people, uh, they put in high names like Yati, Muni, Acharya, Upadhyay, Sadhu, Bhattarak. These are all Jains, you know, these are all Jains. But they also advocated simple techniques, you know, simple techniques. And they assumed these different disguises on their own free will. In reality, they, they, they were never of that category. But just by putting these names, they themselves believe themselves to be preceptors. Okay. And many of them keep new names. Okay. They keep new names also. And adopt various disguises according to their own will. In this way, they believe preceptors by assuming different disguises. So this is false. Okay. Then the question, that we have discussed so much of different kinds of categories of people who believe in different kind of preceptorship. Now, what is the truth? Okay, so here comes the truth. Only three categories, only those outward appearances in which there is not the slightest trace of attachments and passions are the true ascetic garbs. Okay, so the first is slightest trace of attachment and passions. Okay, they are, they have renounced the 24 kinds of possessions, parigra. Okay, so they are the true ascetic garbs. Now those true ascetic garbs are of three types only. Okay, so true ascetic garbs according to Jainism are of three types only, and that has been clearly mentioned by Kunkund Acharya in Shat Pahud. Okay, earlier it was known as Shat Pahud, now we have 8 Ast Pahud, and that we have in syllabus here. We will be reading the summary of all the 8 Pahuds one by one. Okay, so this is from Darshan Pahud. Okay, so three garbs. One ascetic garbs is that of possessionless. 24 kinds of possessions have been renounced in the first place. Okay, possessionless naked monk Nigranth Digambar Muni, similar to that of Jin. Okay, omniscient conqueror. So omniscient conqueror also has a body. So this monk has also body. The main difference is that they have manifested the internal purity of that category. Okay. The second one is that of a householder who of the highest status of Sravak. Okay. Pratimadhari, a votary. A votary is a Pratimadhari belonging to the order of 10th and 11th Pratima or vow. Okay. So 10th and 11th Pratima, these are Elak and Chulak, two categories only. Okay. One has two clothes on his body, another one has one cloth only. Okay. So the one who is in the 10th stage has two clothes to cover his body. The third one, the last one, 11th Pratima holder has only one cloth on his body. So they are the second category of uh, true, we can say the true ascetic grabs. Okay. The third one is the Arjika Mata, and the third one is that of a Jaina nun, sea monk. Okay, sea monk, Arjika Mata, as per Digambar scripture. Thus, these three ascetic garbs are only to be revered, and no fourth ascetic garb is associated with right belief. Okay, so in the true religion, there are only three garbs. There is no fourth garb whom we can consider as an ascetic garb. Okay, so very clear-cut instructions, and there is no point in deviating from this. Okay, because this is the truth. The gist of above verse is that the one who believes adorable any other posture excepting these three postures or garbs is not a true but a false believer. So false believers are of many categories. We cannot explain all the things, but we can know who is a true believer. True believer believes in these three garbs, nothing more. Okay. So very clear-cut definition. Moreover, among these distinguishers, many of the disguisers, sorry. Moreover, among these disguisers, many of the disguisers above some religious rituals, okay, for the sake of inducing people to adore their postures, okay. So they will have some religious ritual, like either they are a brahmachari, or they are vrati, or they are doing some fastings, some part, one of the traits of religion, and they will consider themselves to be preceptors. As for example, some desirers of making current a counterfeit rupee coin, okay, also mixes some silver in it. Similarly, these disguisers proclaim themselves to be possessing high status by practicing part of religious rituals. So they will follow one of the religious rituals and consider themselves to be the true monks, but in reality they are not. Okay. Here someone says some appropriate food will be reaped by whatever religions one has followed. No. Answer. As someone has having accepted the vow of upvas, observing complete fast, it's even a particle of food, then he is a sinner. Okay. Yeah. So you are ready to take higher post, but your action, your activity are of not that level, then you are a sinner. It is best that you don't do fast. You eat one time a meal, you eat two time a meal, but don't over don't create an over image of you. Okay. So this is what they are highlighting here, that you take post whatever is possible at your level. Okay. Don't take up a big post and then do activities of a lower category. This is a this is a this is a big sin, so better you remain a householder, but don't accept the garb of an ascetic and then do activities like of a householder, like building up a temple, building up some building, some other activities. These are not fit for a monk. Okay. Monk's primary function is to just meditate, meditate and meditate. Okay. And they also follow their basic rituals, 28 mool guns. They are very particular about that. Okay. Then only they can be considered as a true monk. Okay. If the 28 rituals are also not there, then they are not even, you can say Dravyalingi Muni also, they are not there. Okay. Dravyalingi Muni, who is not having a right belief, still follows the 28 basic rules very religiously. Okay. They don't take food uh, which is already been fixed for them. Okay. They don't eat food that way. So nowadays we see people who are arranging, you know, you go to a place to take their alms, which is already predetermined. That's not the case. In earlier times, the monks would go with their own demands that if I get such and such conditions, then only I will accept food. And if they get it, then only they will accept food. Otherwise, they come back and again sit for meditation. That's how Adinath Bhagwan went to take the alms for 7 months. He didn't get the right process and he didn't take. He, he was always coming back and getting into meditation. Again, if there is a thought arising of taking food, he will go. But if he's not getting from in the right process, he will not accept the alms. Okay, so they were so strict. So from here we will start reading. Here someone says some appropriate food will be reaped from there. Amitaji.
Here, someone says some appropriate fruit will be reaped by whatever religions one has followed. Answer. As someone having accepted the vow of upvasa, observing complete fast, eats even a particle of food, then he is a sinner. And if by taking the vow of ekasana, taking pure meal only once in a day, takes some quantity of food, even then he is a religious person. Similarly, if someone, by assuming high spiritual status, violates in even slightly, he is a great sinner. And if by accepting the vow of lower spiritual status, uh, can you move the page, please?
Sorry.
Thank you. Practices even some part of the religion, then he is a religious person. Hence, one should practice religion according to one's capacity. No fault lies in this. But if someone proclaiming oneself to be possessing high spiritual status indulges in mean practice, then he is assuredly a great sinner. The same is described in Shatpahud by Sri Kunkun Acharya. The bodily posture of a true saint, Muni, is found to be always naked, just like the naked state of a child at his birth. He does not accept the slightest material possession, but if a saint accepts even the slightest material possession, he assuredly goes to Nigod, the lowermost one sensed state of downfall of Jiva's existence, where one dies and rebirths 18 times per respiration of time. Let it be known that in the householder status, if someone keeping a lot of possessions makes some limitations with a vow not to increase it any further, then also he deserves the right of attaining the heaven and subsequently liberation. But by adopting monk's status, if one keeps the slightest possession, even then he attains Nigod state. Hence, keeping big name and practicing lower order of conduct is not correct. It is to be known that in Hundausarpini Aeon, this is the present running time is Kalikal. In Jaina's religion, the characteristic of a monk are such that there should be no attachment with either external or internal possessions. He should keep engrossed in the soul self with the feeling of I-ness in it and should, please move the page, and should keep himself detached from the pious and impious thoughts and dispositions. And now, due to dawn of this bad time, that is fifth era, the people who are passionate and fond of sensual pleasures accept monkhood by taking the vow of forsaking all sorts of injury and adopting the five great vows. But such persons in monk's disguise are found wearing white or saffron colored clothes and have become voracious of food, etc., make efforts of increasing their traditions. Many of them keep money, etc., also commit injury, etc., and indulge in various unbecoming acts. But the consequence of accepting even the slightest possession is described to be nigod. Therefore, it is certain that the consequence of such sinful acts would assuredly be unending transmigration. 1. The aeon of descendancy is in
It's
all
not Econ,
respects.
it is Aeon,
Yes,
Aeon.
AE, aeon, the aeon of
Yeah.
descendancy in all respects. 2. The period of ill conduct and religious downfall is called fifth era in Jain scripture.
So actually these are two footnotes. Okay. So 1 and 2. So 1 is at the beginning of the paragraph, it is to be known that in Hunda Usprini Aeon. Okay. So that
Mm-hmm.
is the first footnote, and the second one is Kalikal. Okay.
Mm.
The second one is Kalikal. So it is in the first two line of that paragraph. So this has been given in different manner, but if you are having a physical textbook, then you will could see that these two are in the footnotes. Continue. See the
See
ignorance
the
of.
ignorance of people. If someone breaks even a
Yes, sir.
small vow,
Hmm.
he is called a sinner. But one who breaks such a great vow, he is believed to be the guru, preceptor, and revered as a monk. In the scripture, it is stated that one who performs an act, gets it performed, or praises the performer, in all these three states, the same consequence results. The prescribed sequence of accepting monkhood is that one should first of all obtain the knowledge of true tattvas. Thereafter, should develop apathy towards sensual pleasures and acquire power of enduring the afflictions, etc. After all, this he should himself express the desire of becoming a monk, and then the Acharya, head of monks' congregation, would confer monkhood on him as per rules. It is a pity to see this contrariness that conferring of monkhood on sensual and passionate persons through the deception and greed has become prevalent. Later, Later on, such persons are encouraged to follow wrong conduct, so this is a great injustice. Thus ends the negation of false preceptor and their adoration.
Stop.
Now, Mhm.
Hmm. Now the evidence part, testimonials, we will see from 5 different scriptures, some of the testimonials, okay. So before that, we discuss first this one. What is the correct sequence of accepting a monkhood? See the sequence given here. The prescribed sequence of accepting monkhood is that one should first of all obtain the knowledge of true tattvas, the 7 fundamentals, okay. So when you know the 7 fundamentals in the right sense, you automatically manifest the right belief. You become a right believer, okay. And then as you practice more discriminative knowledge, you attain the 5th stage of spiritual development, okay. Then with further uh, observing the vows, minor vows, and the other kind of 11 steps of renunciation, the pratimas, you gradually get into the stage of a monk, and then you become a monk. So this is the correct sequence. First of all, you should have the correct knowledge of the 7 fundamental elements. That is the basic requirement, because until and unless you know them correctly, the 4th stage doesn't develop. Once you have developed the right belief, once you have experienced your own soul, then with further concentration, you develop your purity keeps on increasing and your impurity goes on decreasing. And your spiritual stage goes again up and up. So from 4th, you move on to the 5th, then you become a monk, and this is how the process should be. Okay. So first, real fundamentals, 7 fundamentals. Thereafter should develop apathy towards sensual pleasures. So now this apathy will automatically come, because once you get into something else would also be renounced, okay. First you should get attracted to something. So once you get attracted to your soul, you feel that this is the only stage of happiness, this is the only way that I could experience the eternal bliss, then you keep on going towards yourself again and again. So this practice, with practice of discriminative knowledge, okay, your internal purity keeps on going up and your impurities goes on down, okay. So this is how you uh, move ahead in the spiritual stages, okay. So from the 4th to 5th, and then 5th to 6th, 7th, okay. So this is how you become a monk. And acquiring power of enduring the afflictions, okay. So this power is again coming from the shelter that you have taken in the soul, and with practice, with increase in practice, the internal purity increases, and automatically on the outside you are able to renounce such things, you are able to endure the afflictions and all. After all these, he should himself express the desire of becoming a monk. Okay. Nobody is going to force you that you become a monk. The true monks never ask anybody to become a monk. Okay. But you should express your desire, and then the monks will guide you. Okay. And then the Acharya, head of monks congregation, should confer monkhood on him as per rules. It is a pity to see this contrariness, that conferring of monkhood on sensual and passionate person through deception and greed has become prevalent. This is Acharya Kunkundev from Ashtapahud, Sutra Pahud is uh, guiding us all this. Later on, such persons are encouraged to follow wrong conduct. So this is a great injustice. Thus ends the negation of false preceptor and their adoration. So this was the last part that we discussed. Earlier to that, the main discussion was that you do action according to your post. Okay. And considering your own present condition, you should take up vows which is possible. Okay. It is not good that you take higher vows and then your action would be of lower category, then you are a sinner. Okay. So it is best you remain a householder, but practice, and when you become confident that now you will be able to take up this post of a monk or something else, then only you take up. Otherwise, you will end up binding inauspicious karmas. Okay. So you will be on a, you will fall from where you are. But if you gradually move up, then it's correct. Okay. So now we will see some of the testimonials where acharyas have shown how the laxity comes in the life of a monk. Okay. If you are not following the instructions, then you are going to develop laxities, and once you develop laxities, then you are becoming a corrupt monk. Okay. And then you fall from the spiritual stages. So first of all is the Updesh Siddhant Ratnamala. From there, three words have been taken as a reference where they are instructing us. First is Updesh Siddhant Ratnamala. Okay. Rekha, you read. There in Updesh Siddhant Ratnamala, it is said so.
Yes, sir. There in Updesh Siddhanta Ratnamala, it is said so, meaning due to bad times, the preceptors, gurus have become minstrels. They accept gift and donation, etc., by praising the donors in the words of a minstrel. So, in this distressful era, Dukmakal, both the donor and the recipient are to drown in the ocean of worldly transmigrations. This is further stated there. Meaning, if after seeing a snake, somebody runs away from it, people do not say anything to him. But alas, behold, to him who quits the company of snake like false preceptors, the ignorant ones call him wicked and speak ill of him. Can you move the page upwards?
1 minute. You're not having the textbook with you?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Meaning, by snake bite, death is caused only once, whereas the false preceptor causes infinite deaths, in an instrumental cause of infinite times birth and death. Therefore, O judicious person, it is better to keep company with a snake, but never adore or keep company with a false preceptor. Further, many more verses are quoted there for strengthening right belief. Same may be studied from that book. And
Stop. Now another testimonial will come. But before that, we discuss this one. So due to bad times, the preceptors, the guru have become minstrels. What is this minstrels? Anybody knows? They are
Praise of.
they do praise, and they also sing songs and impress the king. You know, these are called minstrels. In Hindi, it is called bhat, gavaiya. Okay. So they perform such kind of activities, and they accept gift and donation by praising the donors in the words of a minstrel. Okay. So in this distressful era, Dushma Kal, both the donor and the recipient are to be drowned in the ocean of worldly transmigration. Dono dubenge. Okay. The one who is donating, that he will also drown, and one who is accepting, he will also drown, because both are on the wrong side. Okay. Then another reference. If after seeing a snake, somebody runs away from it, people do not say anything to him. But alas, behold, to him who quits the company of snake like false preceptors. The false preceptors have been compared to a snake. The ignorant ones calls him wicked and speak ill of him. Okay. So these preceptors are like snakes. So when the snake bites, it's a death only of one life. But if you are getting into the company, if you are following the false preceptors, then they become, then they are a cause of infinite death, uh, of taking birth and death infinite times. Okay. So this is the loss that you incur when you get into in the company of a false preceptor. Therefore, what we should do? O judicious person who has the capacity to analyze and realize what is true and what is not true. It is better to keep company with a snake, but never adore or keep company with a false preceptor. So the false preceptor have been compared to a snake, even they are worse than the snake. So this is how you should take it. Okay. Further, many more verses are quoted there for strengthening right belief. Same should be studied from that particular book. Okay. Now the second reference coming up testimonial is from Sangapatta. So this is a Svetambar Granth. Okay. From there also, the person who has written this particular scripture, he also has advocated not to get into false preceptor. Okay. So Madhuji, you read from meaning.
Yes, sir. From C, ना
हाँ
थोड़ा there's a मैंने आवाज इसका डॉग बाक का सर he's barking my
नहीं, हम लोग
dog
को नहीं
pet
आ रहा
dog.
आवाज, हम लोग को नहीं आ रहा. You can
Oh,
carry.
okay, very good, sir. Yes. Meaning, see, from here now, sir. See,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
poor
yeah, yeah,
man's
yeah,
boy.
yeah.
Yes, sir. See, some poor man's boy, weakened by starvation, took the oath of a monk in some temple, and without forsaking sins, he got installed as acharya by some group. He now lives in the temple as one lives in his own house, treats the monks of his congregation as members of his own family, thinks himself to be a very great like Indra, very great like Indra, considers knowledgeable persons as ignorant ones like children, and treats other householders as paupers. So, this is all a great wonder. Further, there is a poetical composition. The meaning is as follows: the householders with whom he, the so-called monk, has relation neither by birth
Has relation neither by birth
nor by
nor.
being
Your voice is going
nourished,
away.
nor
Your internet
has he
connection
any
is not
business
good.
relation, and also अच्छा 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 uh, now is it coming, sir?
Yeah, now it is.
Very great like Indra. Is it coming?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sir, can you hear me? Actually, whatever you're saying, your voice is breaking for me also.
Okay, so my connection would be down, I think. Let me check. But no, it's quite okay. Can you listen to my voice, all of you?
Sir, we can hear you. Madhuji is breaking up.
Oh, so your internet connection is poor. So, Roshni ji, you only read
Yes, sir.
Okay.
In
from
between,
here.
it's going off also now
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah.
same time.
Okay, okay. You
Okay,
just
sorry,
listen
sir.
now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Okay.
See
Sir, I'll
some
start
poor
with
man's boy from there.
okay. See, some poor man's boy weakened by starvation took the oath of a monk in some temple, and without forsaking sins, he got installed as acharya by some group. He now lives in the temple as one lives in his own house, treats the monks of his congregation as members of his own family, thinks himself to be very great like Indra, considers knowledgeable persons as ignorant ones like children, and treats other householders as paupers. So, this is all a great wonder. Further, there is poetical composition, etc. Its meaning is as follows: the householders with whom he, the so called monk, has relation neither by birth nor by being nourished, nor has he any business relation, and also has not to pay anything, treats them all like bullocks, and forcibly takes gifts, donations, etc. None is there to administer justice. Thus, there are very many verses supporting the right faith, and the same should be known from that book. Here, someone says, these are the sermons quoted from Shwetambar scriptures. Why did you quote them as evidence? Answer. For example, if something which is forbidden by a degraded person, then the same is naturally forbidden for a high status person. Similarly, something which is forbidden even by those people for whom appendages of cloths, etc., are allowed, then in Digambar religion, such contrary practices are naturally forbidden. Moreover, In Digamar Shastras, also, there are several verses supporting right faith. There in Shatpahud,
Stop,
composed by.
stop. So shut powered by Kunkandacharya, that will be the third testimonial. So let's finish this one. Sangapatta. Is it Svetambar Granth? And there uh, someone in the oath of a monk took oath of a monk uh, in some temple and without forsaking sins. So sins has not been renounced. Okay. He got installed as Acharya by some group. He now lives in the temple as one lives in his own house, treats the monks of his congregation as members of his own family. So the monkhood was taken to get detached, but he is getting attached. Okay. Thinks himself to be a very great like Indra, considers knowledgeable person, Jnani, as ignorant ones, like children, and treats other householders as paupers means beggars. Okay. So all is a great wonder. Okay. Further, there is a poetical composition, meaning the householder with whom the so-called monks has relation neither by birth nor by being nourished, nor has he any business relation, and also has not to pay anything, treats them all like bullocks and forcibly takes gifts, donations. None is there to administer justice. Okay. All the wrong things. And there are people who follow these kind of people also. And they believe that we are doing religion. So you can see the level of delusion that is existing. Thus, there are many verses supporting the right faith, and the same should be known from that book. Now, the question, why you have referred to a Swetambar scripture? So now you can see the answer. For example, if something which is forbidden by a degraded person, then the same is naturally forbidden for a higher status person. Similarly, something which is forbidden even by those people for whom appendages of clothes are allowed, then in Digambar religion, such contrary practices are naturally forbidden. Okay. So this was an example taken from a Svetambar Granth. So if they are renouncing such kind of behavior, then we should always renounce. That was the message. Now moving on to the Shat Paud by Kunkun Acharya. Okay. So here also 1, 2, Darshan Paud, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 references from the same scriptures. Okay. So this will be the third testimonial, that is from Ashtapaud by Kunkunda Acharya. Okay. So Amitaji, you start reading. Moreover, in Digambar Shastras, unmute yourself. Not unmuted. Unmute yourself, Amitaji. Yeah.
It happened. Moreover, in Digambar Shastra's scriptures, also there are several verses supporting right faith. There, in Shat Pahud, composed by Sri Kunkundacharya, it is said so, meaning Jinendra Deva's exhortation to disciples is that the root cause of religion is right belief. Therefore, let the disciples of Jinendra Deva possessing ears be aware that the man without right belief is not adorable. How can a false preceptor be instrumental in invoking right belief in a person who believes in that false preceptor? Without right belief, no other aspect of religion is possible. How could one be adorable without religion? Further, it is mentioned, meaning, so this is Darshan Paud, meaning those who have fallen from right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct are the worst, polluted, led astray among the polluted. Some persons being themselves spoilt, spoil other persons also who follows their preachings. Further, it is mentioned, meaning those people who have themselves fallen from right belief but seek adoration from other right believers will become crippled and dumb in the next birth. That is, they will be born as one sensed immobile beings like trees or plants, and achievement of self knowledge will become extremely difficult, a rarity to them.
Now again, Darshan Paud.
Darshan power, meaning these saints have fallen from right belief. Even after knowing this thing, those persons also who out of shyness, false prestige, and fear bow to them, being supporters of evil, are devoid of, that is, not able to attain right knowledge. What type of jivas are those? They support the vice, sins. Even by honoring the sinners, one has to suffer from the consequence of supporting the sins. Further, it is mentioned in this is Sutra Pahung,
Paud.
it should be powered,
Hmm.
meaning that outward posture of a monk in which even a little or more possession is found is censorable in omniscience preachings. Only possessionless naked saint is to be revered as true monk. Now bhav. Further, it is said, meaning the one who is indolent in practicing of religious conduct is full of blemishes, is worthless, like flowers of sugarcane, is devoid of virtuous conduct. He is an acrobat monk in a garb of nakedness, and is a disguiser like a buffoon. Here, in the naked posture, the example of a buffoon is possible, but if someone is found with possession, then there is comparison. Then this comparison too is not sustainable. Moksha powered, meaning such divas whose intellect is infatuated by sins, if they indulge in sinful acts, even by adopting the naked posture of Jaina, omniscient, are to be known as the idols of saints and fallen from the right path of liberation. It is further said, mokshpahud, meaning those who have excessive love in clothes of five kinds, keep possessions, indulge in begging, and are engaged in other karma type of faults concerning preparation and taking of food, all such persons, such so called monks, are to be known as fallen from the right path of liberation. Many such Gatha, Sutras, couplets, verses are found in the Ashtapaud for reinforcement of right belief. One should read them, and in the Lingapaud, composed by Sri Kunkundacharya, very strong criticism is found written about such so called monks who have adopted the naked posture of Jina, indulge in injury, householders, acts, and acts of incantations, etc.
Stop.
And mhm,
So this is complete now. The next testimonial would be for fourth one from Atmanusashan written by Gunbhadra Acharya. So first we will see, you can see the wordings that Kudkund Acharya have used in Ashtapahod, So for those sinsters, so in the guise of religion, you are indulging in such activity, it's not good. So this Sangpata was done, then yeah, so we started from here. Okay. So this one was the first one. Dansan Mullo. Okay. So Dansan Mullo Dhammo, that was from Darshan Paud. Okay. So this was one from that. So Jinendra Dev's exhortations means Updesh. Okay. To disciples is that the root cause of religion is right belief. So right belief is very much highlighted everywhere. Without right belief, the religion doesn't start. Okay. Therefore, let the disciples of Jinadrev possessing ears be aware that the man without right belief is not at all adorable. Okay. So he is not in the path of liberation. So he cannot guide others also. And he will also drown, and the followers will also drown. Okay. How can a false preacher be instrumental in invoking a right belief in a person? He himself is a wrong believer. So how, with the help of him, you can become a right believer? Okay. So right belief in a person who believes in that false preceptor. Without right belief, no other aspect of religion is possible. How could one be adorable without religion? Okay. Now Darshan Paud. Those who have fallen from right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct are the worst polluted. amongst the polluted. Such persons being themselves spoiled, spoil other persons also who follow their preachings. Again, Darshan Paut, those people who have themselves fallen from right belief but seek adoration from other right believers will become crippled and dumb in the next birth. Previously, it was written they will end up in Nigod, where you are taking birth and death 18 times in a perspiration. Okay, so such is the punishment of getting polluted, corrupted after becoming a monk. Okay, so it is good that you remain a householder, no problem, but don't get into becoming a monk by not following the rituals in the true sense and also understanding the scriptures in the true sense. Those people who have themselves fallen from right belief but seek adoration from other right believers will become crippled and dumb in the next birth. That is, they will be born as one-sensed immobile beings like trees or plants, and achievement of self-knowledge will become extremely difficult, a rarity to them. Next is from again Darshan Paul, verse number 30. These saints have fallen from right belief, the so-called monks, the wrong believers. Even after knowing this thing, those persons also who out of shyness, lajja, false prestige, man, and fear, bhai, woe to them. Being supporters of evil are devoid of, not able to attain right knowledge. What type of jivas are these? They support the vice, that is sins. Even by honoring the sinners, one has to suffer from the consequence of supporting the sins. Now Sutra Paul. The austere posture of a monk in which even a little or more possession is found is censurable in omniscience preaching. Means censurable means criticized, not praised. Only possessionless naked saint is to be revered as true monk. Pau Pau. The one who is indolent. Indolent means non-enthusiastic person. Okay. The one who is indolent in practicing religious conduct is full of blemishes, flaws, is worthless like flowers of sugarcane, is devoid of virtuous conduct. He is an acrobat monk. Acrobat monk means nut shraman. Nut, the one who entertains people, by putting two poles apart and putting a big rope in between that, and then he walks on the rope and people see them and offer money to them. Is like, it's called a nut. So he is an acrobat monk in the garb of nakedness. He is a disguiser like a buffoon. Buffoon means bhandvat, the one who praises, the one who uh, tries to, please the king. These are called buffoon. Here in the naked posture, the example of a buffoon is possible. But if someone is found with possessions, then this comparison too is not sustainable. Okay, they are worse than this. Then the last one is the moksha pout. Two references from there, 78 and 79. Such jivas whose intellect is infatuated by sins, corrupted, polluted people, if they indulge in sinful acts, even by adopting the naked posture of jina, are to be known as the idols of sins and fallen from the right path of liberation. Next one from Moksha Paud again. Those who have excessive love in clothes of five kinds of clothes, keep possessions, clothes of tree bark, leaves, cotton, then silk, wool, all this. Keep possessions, indulge in begging, and are engaged in other karma. Other karma means sinful activity. Type of faults concerning preparations and taking of food. All such persons, so-called monks, are to be known as fallen from the right path of liberations. Many such Granth Sutras are found in Ashtapaud for reinforcement of right belief. One should read them. And in Lingpaud, composed by Sri Kunkund Acharya, very strong criticism is found written about such so-called monks who have adopted the naked posture of jina, indulge in injury, householders' acts, and acts of incantations. Okay. So these are the references. This was the third testimonial. Now we will do the fourth one. Incantation is yantra mantra, you know. Incantations means yantra mantra. Injury is hinsa, and householder acts is the sinful activity that a householder does. Now Atmanusashans by Gunabhadracharya, what he states, that is the fourth point of our. I am reading it because only 9 minutes are left and there are 2 points remaining, fourth and fifth. So I am myself reading and explaining. It is a great pity that in the Kalikal, fifth era, the ascetics, after wandering here and there out of fear, like a deer come near the town in the night from the forest. Here even staying near the town is prohibited, therefore living in the town is assuredly forbidden. So in this fifth era Kalikal, the ascetics comes to the town also. They are strictly prohibited to go near the town also. What they do is, no, the ideal practice is they come on the outskirt of the town and there is a vasati made by the king for them. They come over there and the king along with followers goes there and offer the alms to the monk. They never enter the limit of city. Okay. This is the true practice. But here we can see monks coming to the cities also, and they are not able to follow their basic rituals also, but still they want to be called as monks, and people also fall prey because people are also ignorant. They don't know what is the true practice. Okay. Another reference coming from that particular scripture only. Yeah. Meaning, here it is stated that a householder status is better than holding such ascetic posture where you are already corrupted, polluted, which may result in infinite births. Consider the kind of scenes, bondage that we are doing, infinite births. What kind of ascetic is this, whose wealth of non-attachment gets robbed in the morning by the robbers in the form of beautiful women's sidelong glances? Okay. So this type of ascetics are, compared with people who fall to this woman's uh, looking at woman's beauty, So those kind of people, the monks are considered to them because they get into attachment. Okay. So that is from Gunbhadracharya's Atmanusashan. Now the last reference coming up from Paramatam Prakash by Yogindu Dev. Okay. The first reference, how many are there? Four, then fifth. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 references from Paramatam Prakash. The first one. Paramatam Prakash, verse number 215. Okay. The foolish saints, so-called monks, they are not monks, but they are called monks, only take pleasure in the congregation of pupils, accumulate pupils, male and female, okay, and in books. But the wise saint, the real monks, devoid of fallacy, feel ashamed in keeping them, knowing that these are the cause of bondage. Okay. They believe that if they are alone, they will be better off in doing meditation. And when you are in a congregation, you have responsibilities of many fellow monks and arjikas. Okay. So these are all causes of bondage. So they best try to avoid it. Okay. And here, these foolish saints, they believe, they take pleasure in the congregation of pupils, male and female. Okay. So completely wrong belief. The next one, 218. Who is he whose soul is cheated by himself? He is that Jeev who having adopted the naked december posture of great jinn, dulls out his hair with ashes, but does not give up all possessions. So long you are into possessions, keeping possessions, you are not the true monk. Meaning, O Jiva, those ascetics who having adopted the naked posture of Jina keep agreeable possessions, are eating the same vomit which they have vomited earlier. They are censorable, criticized, rebuked. Okay. So, as in common people, we see that nobody eats a vomit after they vomit it. Okay. So these monks are like that. Those who have already given up, now they are again keeping those positions. Okay. So, this is the, I think, end of fifth point. Hmm. And now the conclusions. So I think we have 3-4 minutes, so we will complete it. Thus, in the Shastras, uh, the false preceptors, their false conduct and attending on them is totally forbidden. And wherein the scriptures, Dhatri dosa, dosh, flaws, Duta dosh, etc., 46 kinds of faults concerning the activity of preparation of food by householders and taking of food by a monk are described. Okay, these pleasing the children of householders, conveying messages, indulging in the acts of teaching mantras, incantations, prescribing medicines, foretelling future, etc., and taking the food that has been prepared by self or got prepared by others and approved by self, etc., all such activities are totally forbidden for a monk. But now, due to bad times, the monks take food by indulging in aforesaid faults. Okay. So there are 46 faults that has been explained. So the monks, true monks, take more food only after uh, looking at these faults, that if any of the faults are there, they don't accept alms. So these 46 faults are to be observed, and then only you can give alms. Further, the corrupt monks of the category of Parshvasta, Kushila are forbidden. Okay, these are corrupt monks. These are categories of corrupt monks. And now the so-called monks are found possessing such characteristics. It is to be noted that those Parshvasta, etc. kinds of monks live naked and possessionless physically, whereas these, the present so-called monks, keep different types of possessions, paraphernalias. These are called possessions. And there in the scriptures, the Brahmari, the method of taking food is described for the monks. What is this Brahmari method? So Brahmari means Brahmar. Brahmar, what he does, he accepts food from the surface only without disturbing, So same is the case of a true monk. They accept the food from the householders very little, so that their food arrangement is not disturbed. Okay, this is called Bhamri Vritti. And there in the scriptures, the Bhamri method of taking the food is described for the monks. But this so-called saint, having excessive desires, takes food, etc., by affecting the vitality of the donor. Okay. And they are clearly seen indulging in the injudicious, censurable, and sinful acts which are unbecoming of even the householder. Okay. Now, this is the last paragraph. Okay. Further, they disrespect the most venerable Jin Beam and the Shastras, etc., and rather considering oneself to be superior to them, they sit at a higher level. Okay, so this so-called monks sit at a higher level than even the jinn beam. And likewise, many perversities are apparently seen, and yet they consider themselves to be true monks and like to be called the possessors of the mool gunas, basic virtues. Okay, so these are all false preceptors. In this way, they get their importance, venerableness established, and the innocent householders getting cheated by their praise do not ponder over the real religion, rather remain engrossed in their eology. Eology means in their praise, in their bhakti. They are mesmerized by these so-called false monks, false preceptors. But how will the great sin of perverse belief in terms of treating great sin as great religion not result in infinite transmigration? In Shastras, the one whom misbelievers in Shastras, the one whom misbelieves even a single word of Jina's preachings is stated to be the greatest sinner, whereas here in such behavior of a monk, there is total disregard of Jina's preachings. What else could be a greater sin than this? Okay, so here we end, and the next topic coming up is argument supporting the negligence in conduct and their refutation. That will take up next week. Okay, so our time is also exactly over, and our discussion stops here. We'll continue in the next class. This so much of detailing is being done for the false deities, then false preceptors, is just that you don't fall prey to it. Okay, we have to be very responsible where we are going, what we are doing. It's all entirely our responsibility. So if we don't act judiciously, we are going to get infinite births in these transmigrations, and we don't know when we will get access to such true gods, true scriptures, and true monks. Okay, so the make the most of this opportunity, otherwise this opportunity will also go. Okay, so it is our responsibility to act judiciously, prudently, and reap the benefit of what we have got. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार।